Hello, my lionesses. Hello, 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 hello. I'm really, really stoked for this show this week. I have a very, 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 very special guest. Very, 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 very dear to my heart. This is my granddaughter. This is Anastasia. So Tay is a little nervous about being here right now, but it's okay. Because you know what? I've been really, really good to address the seasoned lionesses and the different things that we go through and the things that we need to focus on and, be aware of and know that our dreams are still possible and, to dream again and all of that. So I decided it was time for some new manna, some freshness in our Unstoppable Lioness broadcast. And so my baby here is, how old are you?
28.
I said her age the other day and she corrected me. So I just, when you got 8 of them and she next to the baby, it just, hey, you lose track sometimes. You lose track. But anyway, so yes, I wanted to just kind of get some insight of what our youthful lionesses are experiencing and what they're feeling with everything that's going on in the world right now. And so we are doing a staycation, as you can see, very comfy, very casual, this broadcast. We decided to do a staycation right here in Las Vegas. I have a timeshare. I know I'm one of those crazy people still have a timeshare. But anyway, so since we were here and spending time together, invited the family down so we could play at the pool and have a little fun and what have you, I thought it would be the perfect time to sit and get some new perspective on what's going on. So Antasia, her name is Antasia for that, by the way, just so that you know. Yeah, so she's near and dear to her heart. Anyway, so Antasia,
Yes.
with the political climate and everything that's going on, let's start in America first, and then we'll go abroad. Then we'll talk about the world. But how are you feeling about what's happening right now?
Sad, disappointed, a lot,
Mm,
very, very disappointed, but sad mostly.
wow.
Doesn't like that a lot of them that are in power and do have the knowledge and are in positions to do something are choosing not to or
Mm,
choosing a different route and what they're doing because of basically money grabs and
mm.
financial kind of get ups kind of thing. Yeah,
What do
so
you
sad.
think that this says about your future? I mean, do you feel it impacts how you view what your future is going to
Very much
be?
so. I'm terrified about what my future is, even just from being able to buy a house, finding a job, going like if I want to go back to school or what I choose to go back to school for, just simple things like that that should be simple and being able to walk through them properly,
Mhm.
all the roadblocks that they are putting up and
Mhm.
making sure that we can't always basically have to struggle or fight for whatever we do have or
Mhm.
we are able to get. It's a little frightening. You know how the treating education is like, oh, okay, so y'all are really digging
The fact
deep.
that they disband the Board of Education, what does that say to you about the future of the generations, you know?
To me, it's basically they're putting out like their picture clear, like we don't care about our youth or what is
Mhm.
to come for the future. The thing is what we can get now and what basically solidifies their future and their success and what they can get just going forward is like, okay, y'all are you're choosing not to care. You're choosing not to invest in the actual future of the youth or just society itself in America. So
So what do you think that the youth, your generation, I mean, I know what my generation needs to do because we're standing up and we're fighting and we're saying, no, we ain't nobody going back in the corner and sit down and be quiet. We're not going to do it. All right, we're just not.
mhm.
But from your perspective, what do you think your generation could be doing at this point to be pursuing a change to the current climate?
As of right now, I feel like my generation is doing something, but we are setting up very much so and saying like we're not putting up with that or we're
Okay.
not just sitting down and like taking it basically.
Mhm.
But a lot of fact is a lot of the problem is social media and what is put out there and what's actually just pushed front forward for everyone to see nonstop. So
Mhm.
even though we are saying something and trying to stand up and either create businesses or communities to actually continue helping one another, it's like that's not what's being pushed out there, and then making sure if we do that there are roadblocks to not be able to do it, whether it's whether you have to go through it legally when it comes to paperwork and the system actually doing something properly, or they send people in to mess up and disrupt whatever you are trying to do. So it's just like you have to kind of pick and choose. And even when it comes to our generation, our like our
hotel, y'all.
just my group of people is just we can't even trust ourselves in a sense or our peers because you don't even know how they grew up or what their parents were, and that background's kind of scary. So it's like we have to. It's a tiptoe in a sense, and it's kind of sad because we have to fight from every angle, whether it is people above us when it comes to just in the system or the actual elders saying something in our own peers and just trying to look out for the youth coming up underneath us. It's like, oh, okay. We have to.
What do you think that we can do different? Like, obviously you know me very well. You know me all your life. But, and my stand is, that I'm going to fight as much as I can, but what do you feel generally
as
that we
right
can do
now, better? I feel like everyone needs to listen to one another. Everyone's screaming so loud, and everyone's opinion is like solidified as that's fact for them. So it's like if we can just kind of take a moment and actually listen to one another and build off of what you guys know and what you've been through, and actually take that knowledge and place it into today's time and what we're dealing with, we can actually go somewhere with it if people sat down and listened to one another instead of putting blockers up nonstop saying, no, well, my word is just fact.
But there has to be listening on both sides.
No, absolutely. That's the thing. It's all across the board because everyone's saying is, well, you're older now, or like you just lived, you don't know what are. And it's like I don't see how you figure they don't understand when they haven't stopped living life, babe. It's still going nonstop. They're just older. That's the actual elder. So if anything, if we sat back and listened to the knowledge that you guys have and the wisdom from what you have dealt with, and y'all sit back and listen to, okay, this is the actual point of where you are today.
Right?
Yeah,
because what you're living today is much different than what I was living at 29.
But we'd still be able to figure something out and build the building blocks and bridges to actually move forward and do something positive compared to just being like, all right, well, this is that group and this group, and we're just yelling at one another.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. I've said this on, I think this show, I've said it numerous times that one of the dumbest things I ever said in my life, seriously, was talking to my mother and telling her that, well, you've made your mistakes. I need to make mine. You need to just let me make mine. That was so stupid.
That's a lot of people's.
That was so stupid because it's like what she was trying to do was to help me grow from the mistakes that she had made.
So it's like you have my knowledge to not do it at that point or go a different direction. Absolutely. And at this point, if we actually through the generations built that bridge, it'd be a lot better.
Right. So the world as a whole, do you see it coming closer together or do you see it breaking farther apart in segments?
If you actually go out to the real world and off of social media,
thank you. See the real world. Yes, social media is not the real world, people.
Coming together for sure, but at the same time, you still see the cracks and where things are falling through or how it can be broken apart. And that's where we're like, all right, how do we work through that itself without letting everything else interfere? And social media is like coming because everyone's thing is, all right, my phone is right there. That is basically my Bible and how they treat it. So no matter what, you have to try and kind of balance those two levels out.
Yeah, very, very true. Very, very true. Well, what is your passion for life? What is it that you want to, what are you envisioning accomplishing? Because, you first got to see it and then you can go after it and get it. So what do you envision for you?
For me? I just want to help, however I can help build the actual communities is my point. What kind of bridges can I build to fix whatever fractures they have created or what I can't, like whatever, basically just I don't know how you would put that, how would I be able to benefit society? What can I put into it positively?
Well, because I know you, I know that you put a lot of thought in this and you have a lot of community things that you would like to put in place. So let's just talk about some of it, some of the things that you can see that could be a benefit to build a better world. We will never make a change and make it better if we don't go out and do it.
Absolutely.
And so, and like I said just a moment ago, you first have to see it. You have to have a vision for it. And then you can start putting the pieces together to make that vision a reality. So what are some of the programs and the things that you can envision that would be a help?
I've definitely thought about some housing communities, whether it was for like homeless or the displaced youth or anything like that, or just simply because of all the corporations buying up every neighborhood and building everything so cheaply. Just simply how you can put people back into real homes and how you can protect the land between corporations and money hungry people, or school activities, or like before or after school programs, my own kind of school, simply because you guys don't care about the actual schooling system and you want to disrupt that. Actually, y'all are a whole burn book kind of thing. I can't stand so. And
tell us how you really feel. That whole burn book
we
thing.
literally, because your whole thing is, we can't teach you the knowledge of like the actual history that we've been through, and what we put you through, you can't do anything about it. So I think if we can actually teach them that, or actually bring in real programs that help kids when it comes to the future, whether it's what are the even like the simple ones like wood shop and home economics and simply stuff like that, just to teach them how to
like that was
live a life once they leave,
right.
like actually to survive. Right. Teach kids that like trade schools aren't a bad thing. Like you can actually go and get real certificates, or like just knowledge into other programs aside from trying to be.
I went to a vocational high school.
Whatever that is.
I did. I went to a vocational high school, Southern Nevada Vocational Technical Center was the name of it, VOTEC. And it was special because when we came out of high school, we came out with a trade. You know, they had auto mechanics, they had cosmetology, they had secretarial science, that's what I took. They had telecommunications, you know, all of these different things that that would be your major in high school, so that you would learn the trade as you're learning about history and science and all of that stuff. So that when you came out, you were ready to go into the workforce. Now, you obviously could continue on in your education, but the fact that you could come out prepared for life. And even what you just said, the fact that, you know, elementary school, well, no, junior high school, the fellas were taking wood shop, girls were taking home economics, you know what I'm saying? Different things that were really beneficial in everyday life. You know, and I can't understand why. Okay, here's one of my pet peeves. This is just me. And you've heard this before. Why would you take cursive writing out of school? Like, I'm sorry. That was part of your creativity, because your swirls and how you made your S's and your L's and whatever, it was like your creative self being expressed. So now all you want people to do is talk in code, just print. And this is the true thing that happened to me, and I'm gonna let you speak again in a moment. But it was like I was at work one day, and FedEx came to pick up a package. And while the woman was there picking up the package, I was still filling out the air bill. This was had to be probably about 11 years ago, 10, 11 years ago, because we were in a small office in our building in Atlanta. So that's how I can remember how long ago it was. And she stood there mesmerized, and she said, "You're writing in cursive." I kid you not. I'm filling out the air bill for FedEx. And I looked up at her and I was like, well, yeah. Just because
it's a lost art.
It's like second nature, you know? I'm sorry, can we go back to reading, writing, and arithmetic? What was wrong with that? It was this, you know? It produced some pretty strong-minded people.
I think that's the problem why they took it out. But that was their problem. You were producing strong-minded people, and that freaked you out. You can no longer control what you were trying to, the picture you were trying to keep.
Girl, that's so good. Now that's aged wisdom right there. That's aged wisdom. Seriously, to control the narrative. If I can control what goes in, I can control what comes out. That's
what's very, very scary for me right now, because you can blatantly see it, especially in just how our own government is talking to someone live television right now. That's terrifying. I have no problem lying. I have no problem just saying anything outside of your neck.
Telling you got to believe this is true. This is fact. But here's the flip side of that, is that, you know, I'm a firm believer, like I have my opinions about our current regime. But even in having my opinion, I have the wisdom to say, all right, I can't enact change if I don't have a seat at the table. If all I'm doing is focusing on the negative, okay, because there's enough negative to go around on both sides. Let's face it. You know, I am not a political party kind of girl. I'm an ecclesia person, right? So I believe in the kingdom government. But my thing is that I think that we have so focused in on the crazy because it's crazy. We've so focused in on the crazy that we've missed, well, how can we make a difference? How can we enact change? Because if all I'm doing is posting on social media my negativity, I'm not leaving the door open to work the system because there's a system and you have to know how to work the system to make it work. You know what I'm saying? And I think that we have to make sure that we're not so dialed in to what we don't like that we miss how can I make a change? How can I be a part of the change? Because if you don't have a seat at the table, you can't enact change. You know, and I think that that's really important, and especially for your generation. My generation, yeah, most of us are sitting out going, yeah, baby.
Y'all got this.
Yeah. I'm not that one, but most of my generation is going, yeah, baby. You know, I'm praying for you.
Understood. We need it. Oh my goodness.
But we have to make sure, like even with the programs and the different things that are on your heart to start, that's making a change, you know. Now, right now is a difficult time for you to get those programs off the ground.
Because they're making sure people can't do it. They are making sure you can't.
But you can't lose the vision.
Yes.
You can't lose the focus. You know, that's my wisdom to your generation, because we've got 3 generations in between us, right?
General elections are important, y'all.
Thank you.
Very important.
Vote.
Who's actually running your state?
And find out your congressman, your mayor, your assemblyman, everybody. You know, don't just focus in on presidential elections.
Not at all.
It's the general because these are the boots on the ground. And even though he tries, president can only go so far if the boots on the ground are strong enough to stand. Strong enough to stand. And so, yeah, you just said a mouthful. And to hear that coming from you, you know, I'm saying
it's very,
from
very
your
important.
generation,
Yes.
how important it is to vote. Yeah. You know, that's so important.
It sucks when you hear so many people talk about how they're not going to, or they're not like political people. It's like that's what's running your future right now. So you choosing not to and sitting back and saying, well, no, I'm just gonna let everybody else choose. Well, now you're dealing with all the consequences of letting everybody else choose.
Exactly. And not getting to know who you're voting for. Yeah. I'm guilty. I was very guilty of that. I'll you know me, I'll be transparent. When I was 18 years old, my mother made me register to vote. And at that point in time in my life, politics didn't mean nothing. I would go in and eeny, meeny, miny, moe. Seriously. That lasted probably until I was about 25. And then suddenly there was this change. Wait a minute, you know, you start to see the ramifications of the people who are in the offices.
Yeah.
All right.
Who's making the rules and actually enforcing them.
And then it was like, oh, well, let me get to know these people. You know, let me not just because. Let me not just be a Democrat because somebody said that's what I was supposed to be. Let me not just be a Republican. So I have been for the past 40 years, 45 years, basically, I vote across party lines because I'm not voting for the party. I'm voting for the person.
Considering how much they flip flop, yes. The party no longer matters at this point. It's the person. Yeah, basically, they don't. They don't. You guys have flip flop throughout history the entire time. You're doing it once again in a sense. So we're just not even going to deal with that. But the title is not what's important at this point.
Thank you. Title don't mean a jack right now. It really, really doesn't. You know. And I had a conversation with my apostle in Atlanta just before this last presidential election. And he knew my feelings about the candidates and whatever. He thought he knew. Let me put it that way. And I said, no, see, you don't get it. This is what I said. I said, you don't get it. Sound like either one of them. I would really go into the voting booth and said none of the above and feel really good about doing that. But I do know I need to take a stand because none of the above is not feasible because one of them are going to be in there. All right. So, and for me, it was what's the lesser of the two evils? That's really how I felt, but the key is that that was based off of what I knew about both candidates. I had done my homework, so one was a little more favorable for me than the other. But the key is, it's like, if you don't do your research, if you don't get to know what's going on, then, like I said, you cannot enact change. You cannot enact change in a vacuum. You can't do it.
And that's scary considering all my people, not all, but a lot of my people, like in my generation, love the deep dives and conspiracy theories and everything. So like, okay, well, if you have the time and the brain power to do that, you can do it when it comes to real life.
Hello.
Who's running the schools that your kids are going to?
What are they teaching your children?
Literally. You're wondering why there's nobody here acting like that. Well, what are they being exposed to? Like, considering I understand you can't control everything that they can see, but you do have a sense of control. You are what is the block between them and what can hurt them.
And here's the other key. Here's it. Right. Are you involved in your child's education? That's number one. Or are you just sitting them in front of the TV?
Aside from just your child, are you involved in the community? Because it's not just your child that's there.
Right.
Because your child can be protected or safe, but everyone else is still running around scared or dealing with whatever's going on. Exactly. It actually is a village of people that, like, it's the community that does something. So everyone's running around screaming about these YNs and all this extra stuff. It's like, yeah, that's what's running around in the streets, but what are you doing to control what's running around in your streets? Exactly. You can only say so much and going on Twitter and tweeting about it and doing nothing, baby.
It's not.
Whatsoever. And don't get me wrong, because there are people out there trying their best. And they are. And I'm not taking any credit away from them because you are doing literally the best that you can. But everyone else, yeah, y'all do something about that. The one that's actually trying to cause problems, y'all do something about that. We're in a state where everyone's protecting the villains and criticizing the actual victims. I'm gonna punish you because you are getting actually attacked or something. It's like, what is going on in this world? Why are we so backwards at this moment? And it's so weird. And all y'all doing is screaming at one another. It's like, well, you're not doing anything. Well, put it down. Put the phone down. Stop screaming. Go outside and do something. Because last I checked, more than likely, if that's what one of your kids doing, it is not. So what are you doing about it? How are you protecting them and your community?
And it starts at home. It starts at home.
And if you know that something's going on in the house next door to you, what are you doing to help? Everyone's saying is, well, that's their household and what's going on there. Well, I'm not going to do both. I'm not jumping in. Why do y'all think that it's running around so rampant right now? No one's doing anything. No one's stepping in anywhere.
You can't be you can't be so focused on your four and no more. Basically.
Literally.
My house, and you can talk to your mother, who is my daughter. But my house was the Kool-Aid house on the block. That's what I used to call it because all the kids were at my house. And that was just fine for me because at least I knew where mine were because they were at my house with all other kids. But the key was that if something was amiss at another one's house, they had a safe place to come. They had somebody that they felt was safe that they could talk to. And probably because I was so young, and their parents were probably normal age parents. But y'all know, hey, listen, 14 when I had my daughter, 8 days after, 8 days after after 8 days after I turned 16 is when I had my daughter. I was 14 when I had my son. So our age gap in the kids in the neighborhood wasn't as big as that's what I say, normal parents that, went through the process and got married and had kids and stuff. But there were still people in that age group that you have to have a safe place. A safe space, for the youth to feel that they can come to. Listen, and you know this. There was an incident last year at my house with your brother and one of his friends, right? And it didn't jump off real well. And I was very angry because it caused police to be called to my house. And I was angry with both sides. One I could put out there like it was just like. But you know what? And this is the truth. When I finally had opportunity to talk to that other young man, and it was a few months later, I had to say to him, I care about you, just like I care about my grandson. I care about you. So I care that you guys are out there doing things that are detrimental to your future. And he had not had that before. You've got to give people a safe space, no matter how angry you are. It's not about, like you just said, you can't just be yelling back and forth, and you can't be pointing fingers. Girl, that younger generation, I just don't know what to do. Well, no.
It's both sides.
Yeah,
it goes both ways.
you
So
know,
you have to.
if it just from a spiritual standpoint, the word says that the older women need to teach the younger women. You know what I'm saying? It's like you instill in them values. You instill in them the fact that I have confidence in you, that you can make a difference. I have not that, you ain't gonna never be nobody. You just like your daddy, you stupid. You
Mistakes happen. People are human.
That was never allowed in my home. Never. In fact, your oldest brother, his father and I got into it about that. You will not step up in my house and call not one individual stupid. Look, we don't do that. We don't do that. Because you all have intelligence, and again, like you were saying, it's like we have to learn to honor each other, to honor, I may not always agree with you, and I don't always agree with you, but and same and vice versa, but I respect and honor your right to have an opinion.
Yes. Okay. Feel the way that you feel
exactly. It's like, now you may not be able to change my thoughts, and I may not be able to change yours, but I have to respect that you have an opinion, that you are intelligent enough to think this works. This works. Yeah. That was my problem in school, in elementary school. Oh God, it was really bad. Like I shared this, guys, with before. Like I got an F in religion. Was the first person ever kicked out of a Catholic school. This particular Catholic school. But the point was. The point was because this worked. This works. And if you're trying to tell me something that didn't make sense to me and you couldn't make it make sense, I'm not buying it. And I'm not going to just accept it because you said so. Okay. And the fact that they couldn't honor that my brain worked. I don't care if I am in the 6th grade. My brain works. I'm highly intelligent enough to know that my thoughts have value. They have meaning. And so I think that it's really important just from a generational standpoint that we as a senior generation respect the younger generation and say, oh, this works.
You have a brain.
I know it works, and a very intelligent one, so we don't traffic in the same things and in the same sphere. So we may have different thoughts.
It still takes my generation to accept that you guys have the wisdom and knowledge beforehand to actually guide us.
Here's the thing. I'm almost 70. I didn't get almost 70 just by not knowing. I had to know something to survive. It's just that simple. I had to know something to survive.
You don't stop learning, or the knowledge don't just disappear.
Never.
Just because you're at a certain age. Like, no, you're still living.
Yeah.
You're still learning lessons. You're still making mistakes. Why are you?
I still learn from you.
Absolutely. Because times are changing nonstop. Why wouldn't we be able to learn from
this is exactly why you're sitting here right now. Because it was like, no, seriously. It's like we always need to have different perspectives and to understand, especially, well, what are you feeling right now? How can I help you to accomplish what you need to accomplish?
Even if I'm not ready to hear that at the moment, more than likely I should have, so I can take it later and be like, all right, let me run that back. And it sits in when it's supposed to. Sometimes a little grace goes a long way, y'all.
Just a little grace, right?
Just a little bit. Grace. So even if it is the fact that, all right, we're basically yelling at walls, you can take back what you heard and just sit in and be like, okay, I couldn't accept it at that moment.
That's true.
But this wall is down now, and I can take it in and say, oh, okay, there's a change that needs to happen. Well, they weren't wrong about what was said. Or if anything, I can make dots actually connect, and both of our points make one big picture.
Yeah.
So it actually does something different to say what needs to be said instead of just saying, well, ain't nobody listening. There's no point in just.
It's kind of what the older generation of my generation used to tell us. Baby, just keep living.
One day you'll learn.
Just keep living.
Everyone's heard that. One day you'll learn. it's like, oh yeah, you're not wrong. And it's not meant out of like a malicious kind of way. Like, no, you're right. Because even if I'm not hearing you right now, I'm learning.
What you thought was when you were 18 is totally different than the perspective that is at 28.
Absolutely.
That's why I can sit here and say the dumbest thing I ever said in my life was to tell my mother, like, you made your mistakes, I gotta go make mine. How stupid.
That makes terrible sense.
How stupid. But that was that mentality.
Absolutely.
That was that adolescent youth mentality. And that's why it's so important that what you just said, a little grace goes a long way.
You never know what kind of lifestyles they live, how many lives they've lived, and that person for that person right then and there.
Right then.
That's it. You don't know who else they have been before or who they're going to be. So there's actually a chance to sit back and be like, you know what? I might be able to learn a little something for you. Or so for the simple fact that even if you did not go through something, you may have a completely different way of thinking about it.
That can change everything.
Absolutely.
Different perspectives are very, very good. That's
so.
why the word tells you about a multitude of counsel. Okay, not just one, but a multitude of counsel, because that multitude will have different perspectives,
and it'll put everything.
And it'll put exactly, and this will connect that dot, and that'll connect that dot, and that next thing you know, you got your fingers working, and your wrists working, and your elbow working, and the shoulder going, and it's just like, oh, okay, because it needed to connect.
Missing pieces. Don't miss the pieces. Just because you don't want to hear them.
Absolutely. Another thing that I teach all the time, and I really, really instill this in you, is your uniqueness is your superpower.
Absolutely.
It's your superpower. Don't just try and blend in. And that's something that every generation has struggled with. Every generation.
How can I be like everybody?
How can I be like everybody? How can I be the cool kid? How can I fit in? I was never the cool kid. I never fit. And I didn't try to. Because it was like, y'all crazy.
What's the point?
Like I was very observant. I was that quiet one that you didn't want to mess with. Because that they say you watch out for the quiet one. Because my mind was always going. But I would sit back and I would watch and observe and be like, no, y'all can have that.
Too much for me
No,
unnecessary.
I'm cool.
And a lot of it was unnecessary.
It was very unnecessary, and I took on being a loner. You like that too. You don't have a multitude of friends. You have a couple, It's
the important ones that matter. Literally, it's the important ones that matter, that's all.
But it's not about being popular. It's not about being popular.
Everyone has a thing to want to be seen, and you don't always have to be seen.
You don't. But one other thing, remember, you can testify to this with you guys growing up, and I did this with your uncle and your mother and your generation, and then the little ones coming up behind you guys, was that let your words have weight. Okay, don't say stuff just to be saying it, so that when your words have weight when you say it, people will listen.
They'll understand that you're serious.
They'll think about it. It'll resonate. When you just talking just to be talking, like they do on social media, they posting just to be posting, well, how many likes did you get? I don't care if I didn't give her one like. If that one person that liked it was who needed to hear the message that day, that's all I care about. Okay? It's like you make sure that what you're going after is viable. It's going to change not just your life, but it's going to be transformational for others. That's why I love your vision and your heart for people, that you want to go out and you want to make a difference in other people's lives. You will accomplish that you want. You definitely will, but I think that there has been, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think in subsequent generations, there's been that disconnect of the we. And
Absolutely.
It's become the I.
Absolutely. For sure.
So just speak on that.
There's no community. I'm so sorry. There's no community right now in the world, unfortunately. And the communities are around. Everyone's very much so clicked up in a sense. We're worried about ours. And no one else's. Because we have to protect our own, and no one else's. We're fighting for our actual fight and our strength, and where we fit, but no one else's. So the connectivity of the community is the problem right now. no one's actually connecting. And when they try to, it always ends up in some kind of blowout or fighting. It's like, why are we fighting in the first place?
Exactly.
You missed the whole point. You completely erased the picture. It went somewhere else. Simply because y'all started basically shining lights on the negativity or who is going after one another. It's very simple to say, all right, cool, y'all can step aside and someone else can handle this. And let someone else handle that. Everyone's thing is, well, now they're going back and forth. Well, they said this is not third. Well, they said this is not third. So y'all just lost the entire point of what we're trying to do and reverted into something completely different. I was like, what? I guess I'm trying to figure out, how do we fix that disconnect? Because everyone's thing is our point, our view, our point, our opinion, and our view is factual. That's just it. And you have to respect it without even respecting someone else's point of view and their opinions. So like, you can't just say, well, you have to respect what I'm saying and my feelings without doing the same thing for someone else.
What do you think would be a first step toward bringing that together?
As of right now, me personally, because I have kind of taken a step back from social media and people, I'm not that connected. I'm not sure to say, but social media is a problem because it's who you let go viral. It is what you give the numbers, and everyone's thing is numbers. How do I get the numbers? And what's going to keep the views and the numbers, and what's going to keep the actual engagement? And that is a serious problem, because the moment there are certain people that can start with an actual light in their heart and want to make a change, but the moment they actually get that spotlight, it switches up because they didn't realize that they couldn't handle something like that. Or maybe that wasn't who they really were, and it wasn't coming from a place of love, and they just wanted to be seen as a certain kind of person.
Now, see, that's important. That what you just said is very important.
Scary, because your thing is, oh my gosh, you want to make a change and you're doing something, but the moment you start, it's like, oh, people see me. No, they see me, and you're gonna see me. You're only gonna see me. It's like, that's not what this was about, and you just completely let a certain character show that you didn't really think was going to, I guess, be pointed out in a sense. And then once people start pointing that out and they go negative and they're focused solely on the negative, you're still getting views from that. More than likely, you're either going to feed into it or still take the light off of the original picture, the original point of which you were trying to help. No matter what, you've just completely tarnished in a sense. So anyone that looks into it and sees that you're connected to it, of course, they're going to be like, well, that's not serious. It doesn't matter. It's a whole bunch of nonsense and jokes and people that don't really want to do something serious about it. So anything or anyone that you were going to help are now struggling and out of an opportunity because of you. And the fact that people don't have enough of an attention span not to look at that 30 seconds and be like, yeah, that was cool. That's not as cool. I mean, you're making a change, but it's not as explosive as the negative stuff because they're going back cussing at each other and exposing things. Well, I want to go back to that and what they're doing. So
that I can get the numbers.
Literally. And they're going to keep it going in that one cycle. That's mostly what they have done nonstop. And that's sad. Or there's some fact that if they do learn about a person and like who they actually are, everyone's thing is, well, if I don't agree with that, I can't support. I'm not going to help. So simply if they see you, the same thing as when people learn like people's political backgrounds, or like if you find out they're voting for certain parties or have in the past, well, now I can no longer help you, even though you are helping the community at this moment and you're doing something to make a change. I can't help you because of who you voted for. Because I don't like that point about you. I'm not going to do what is the right thing to do simply because I don't like that one point. And they'll take that from anyone's life and nitpick at the smallest things, whether it's how they speak to someone, even if it's not rude, but like, well, it wasn't up to my standards, so now I don't like you. It's the smallest stuff. So it's that, once again, even if you are right, I'm not going to listen to you because my opinion about you now is the only fact that I care about. It's like, well, dang, how do we get out of ignoring the actual point in what we're supposed to do, or taking the views away from that and trying to light on that and going to those 30 seconds? Well, they're flipping out and I'm going to just wait for those quick 15 to 30 seconds.
So when you get through flipping out, so now we can talk.
And it's like, well, no one cares at this point when you start talking about the real problem again. Because they're waiting for that little 30, they're waiting for that little 30 seconds of, oh, well, they're flipping out. And it's like, oh, well, now they don't longer care. So how do we get people's attention spans back to a certain point to, oh, okay, I can actually take in the knowledge of what's supposed to be happening and
So what do you
use
think
my free
about going
time.
back to the streets? I mean, I know social media is huge and we can reach the
Mhm.
masses, but I don't think personally that it replaces the physical contact
Not at all.
of being in the streets one-on-one with
Mhm.
people, letting people see that you feel their pain, letting people
Absolutely.
know that you really do care.
I think
I'm
COVID
not just
showed
a
that for
post.
us when everyone got on social media, realized, oh, we can't have human contact right now.
Mm,
Everyone kind of, not everyone, but a lot of people went into a certain mental state that they couldn't handle it. And it was like,
yeah.
oh no, I need people.
Mm.
And they got stuck in the fact of like, well, I just have the screen and there's millions of people right here instead of going out. So they, a lot of people don't know how to interact with one another anymore.
Do you know
A
I
lot of
find
anxiety, like social anxiety, people don't know how to like humanly interact at this
so
point.
let me ask you a question. All right. And this is coming from an honest place within me.
Mm.
I have noticed that the last couple of generations really don't know how to converse with one another
Mm.
unless it's through here. It's like can you remember my goddaughter Bianca?
Mm.
Like she would be sitting 2 feet from me and would send me a text. Like, what is wrong
I
with
was gonna
you?
say something. Yeah.
And I would refuse to respond. It's like, no, if you are
Mhm.
going to communicate with me, you're gonna talk to me. We're not doing this.
So there's no point. Why aren't you just opening your mouth and speaking?
I'm not the big
And
bad boogie bear. I will have a communication. And I I taught this to my children and especially my son growing up, I used to tell my children, we can talk about anything. It's how you approach me.
mhm.
Okay. There's no limit to the conversations we can have, but you can come at me and correct. If you come at me with attitude, then we got issues. Okay. But as long as you come at me with respect, because that's how I'm going to respond back to you, we can talk about anything. But I have found that these last few generations, it's like they have been systematized,
Mhm.
to it's all about
Get
texting
out.
and
They're scared of confrontation. Twitter fingers. The same thing as all these young men just running around. I'm holding some kind of weapon or a gun, whatever. You're scared of actual confrontation. That's all it is. That's all it is. Because you can't get away with saying just whatever you want to or however you want to someone's face.
That could
You
go
just
really
can't come
bad
at
for
people
you.
just however you want to because well, I'm just do as I want to and I can't blah, blah. No. And you know you're not going to. You're scared of confrontation. You're scared of rejection. A lot of people's thing is, well, if I say something and you don't either laugh at it, agree with it, well, not my feelings. Everyone's a lot. No, yeah, everyone's real soft right now, and that's sad.
That is it.
But that's the main thing we can't communicate with one another because we're scared of rejection and actual confrontation.
That's part of life.
No one has their thing is they don't feel like there's a safe space for everything. And unfortunately, baby, in life there is no actual safe space for
There's
everything. You're
not
just
there's not a safety
living.
net on everything.
Yeah,
I
no.
mean, and people like me can try to provide. Try to provide at this
Mhm.
stage a safe space for women. Because I know what you have to walk through. I know the abuses. I know the having to rebuild your self confidence. The hearing your roar, getting your voice back. So I try to create a safe space, but there is not a safety net for everything that
Yeah.
happens. And I just said this to somebody the other day. I said, baby, it's called life. It's just,
Everyone gave
I
into
wish,
the
I wish I
side
could
of
tell you something different. But in fact, I was talking to our doctor. Okay. And she was saying something, and she was like about answers, and I said, it's called life. There's not an answer for everything,
yeah,
and I believe there is an answer to everything, but you may not like the answer.
that's the scary part. Because what if I don't like the answer, and then what do I do?
Then you try and process it. You try and process it as best you can. There's been a lot of answers in my life that were like,
Don't like that.
no, I done just straight out said to God, no, we're not doing that. It's just like,
But it's like an honest feeling at the moment, but
but,
it is
but
life.
yeah, but
This
it's
cycle.
life. It's life. Okay, well, we're almost at the end of the show. And see, you did it. You did it. a quick blurb, what would be your parting words to those that are watching?
I think I would just go back to the little bit of grace goes a long way at the moment.
Mm.
In today's society, take a step back and understand that everyone is dealing with everything and going through something.
Mm.
Everyone's feeling some kind of weight, even if it's not the same as your own. But if you just take a step back, understand like your feelings are your feelings and they are valid. But it's okay to listen to someone else's and what they're going through and hopefully building that bridge to a better, future.
All right, y'all, that's my baby.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for tuning in to our Unstoppable Lioness show. I pray that you have been blessed by it because I definitely have, and that the fact that our generations are going to make a difference in the
Together.
world together. Yes. All right. Lord willing, see you guys next week.